Earlier today, I did a bit of a video of trying to kind of, you know, invite people to read the Malazan books. I'm only 3 books in, and I've been especially trying to think, why do I connect with this so much? And it finally kind of struck me, I think, today. I am reminded, when I went on my honeymoon with my spouse about 15 years ago or whenever. I guess I shouldn't say whenever. I decided, we were both students, and foolishly, I went to this auction website online, and I purchased this package to London. And actually, at the same time, I didn't think it worked, and I accidentally did the same thing to Rome, like I was just being an idiot, an early 20-year-old. And so I was freaked out that I accidentally did 2 of these, and we got rid of one of them, and I elected to go to London. And so we did that. Probably was not the wisest thing to do as university students, but we did that nonetheless. Now, something that grabbed me when we were there, very different from where I come from, but I'm a big history guy, so I was so glad to be there. We went to a lot of the museums and things, but we went to the National Art Gallery, I think it was called. And at first, I would kind of just be looking around for specific names that I recognized, like all the Ninja Turtle names. And over time, I loved getting very close to the paintings and seeing the very individual brushstrokes and seeing how sometimes it wasn't actually very detailed. Sometimes there'd be a little swirl here or whatever. And as you go back, you see how it kind of fit in the larger, sometimes massive canvas. But I would be just being close, and you could see the texture. You could see almost like you were experiencing the hands of these painters. Now, we also went to the Natural History Museum, or no, what was the British Museum? And the Rosetta Stone was there, and it had just halls of just stuff from the Parthenon in Greece. It had all this Egyptian stuff. And as I got closer to this Egyptian stuff, even though a lot of these amazing artifacts, didn't have a name attached to it, I would look at some of the chisel markings and just think, who did this? This unnamed person did this. Someone did this. And even though they didn't have a name, I was equally fascinated by that. And whenever I see, I go to a museum like this from something very old, I am just fascinated, even if I don't know the name. Now, I love ancient Roman history. And yes, this is a Malazan thing. I will get there. I love ancient Roman history, Persian history, Babylon, Greek. I love classical antiquity, but Roman history, as it has to do with kind of the early Roman Empire especially, is where I really am most fascinated in, with the Phoenicians and things like that. And now, while I can be fascinated in an overall telling of the Phoenicians or Rome, if anyone who's into history knows that names come and go, individual names come and go, but the overall kingdom is really what we are there for. So even though I am into individual things at a larger scale, zoomed in when we see people like Cyrus the Great or Alexander the Great or Genghis Khan, looking at the Battle of Cannae with Hannibal, the individual things are more like brushstrokes that lend to the greater whole, and that's what we are so interested in. At least I am. I'm not just so fascinated with one character like Julius Caesar or Germanicus or any of these emperors. It's really as a whole that I am into. Now, a lot of people look at history and it's just a chore. It's just a chore to get through because there's no big character arcs. People will go in and they'll do their couple brush strokes of how they affected things, and sometimes it'll have this big ripple effect. But individually, they are just there. And a lot of the people within the Malazan books kind of more than just one chosen one going to destroy everything. Well, not destroy everything, to destroy this evil empire or whatnot. At least as far as I've found, it's more about the individual pieces of people doing the best within the circumstance they are in. And it's more about these different cultures and the motivations of these different groups more than it is about the individual pieces. And I think that has helped me to kind of keep focused in these books, but it's also been what drives me. It's more these different cultures fascinate me. So when I get to House of Chains and I get to this other culture who, again, is very different from the ones we have seen before, it's a new character. And so exciting, so exciting. So I think in some ways, even though you have to be you have to have some fantasy interest in you to read these books, I think a history buff would be really into it, and someone who is able to just enjoy characters kind of coming and going. And it's more about the larger picture in some ways than it is about the individual brushstrokes, even though it's those individual brushstrokes can be fascinating sometimes. Now, I don't know how that came off or if I even was able to express what I mean, but I think there's something there, because I've been trying to pinpoint who could I really recommend this to, because it's clearly for me and it's clearly for other people, but I'm trying to really pin down who this really would grab. Because some people will go into a story and they want a big kind of a popcorn action movie for a weekend, or they want some kind of, some kind of flick to just be exciting and then move on to the next thing. This is the type of thing where you're going to get out of the book what you put into it, because there's a lot going on. And you might not grab everything and connect with everything, but you will connect to something. And just like history, you get out what you're willing to dig out of it. And that really, I appreciate that from this series so far. So I don't know if that made sense, but I wanted to leave that because I think that's why I like this so much. That even though I do love the characters, I think it's more about the larger picture that's really grabbing me so far.